Thank you very much. My name is Orla Kelleher. I'm a niece of one of the residents of the Owenacurra Centre in Middleton. I'm here today to advocate on my aunt's behalf. It's not easy for families like mine to share our story publicly. With Anna's permission, I'm going to share her experience of living in the Owenacurra Centre and what the service means to her and to families like ours. I will also highlight some problems with the closure and the steps we would like the Petitions Committee to take. My Aunt Anna has lived at the Owenacurra Centre for over 25 years. Before moving to the centre, Anna was a patient at Our Lady's Hospital in Cork, where she was in a closed ward for several years. My aunt has struggled significantly with significant and enduring mental health problems since her 20s. Owenacurra was set up in 1988. It's a multi-purpose service for people with severe and enduring mental health illness. It has a town centre location, so it's right next to the SuperValu, it's next to the Middleton Market and within walking distance to lots of amenities. And this has been key to the rehabilitation, community integration and quality of life for many residents, including my aunt. It really is a life-saving and transformative service. Life hasn't been easy for Anna, but being at the Owenacurra Centre has given her a chance to live the best life she can. When Anna first arrived at Owenacurra, she found communication with people difficult. She was reluctant to leave the building and couldn't go out for a short drive in my mum's car. However, over several years of rehabilitation and with the dedicated support of the Owenacurra staff, Anna gradually found her feet and flourished in Middleton. As a family, we're terrified that any move away from Owenacurra and Middleton could result in a serious deterioration of Anna's mental health and well-being. The Owenacurra Centre is the only HSE long-stay adult mental health facility in East Cork, as well as our only adult mental health respite facility. The centre has a capacity of 28 placements and can accommodate up to 20 residents in single rooms. In June 2021, the HSE announced its plans to close the Owenacurra Centre by the 31st of October 2021, and at that stage there were 19 residents. After a campaign mounted by Friends of Owenacurra, a coalition of residents, family members, local representatives and members of the community, the closure has been temporarily postponed. The reason for pushing out the closure date was that the HSE hasn't been able to find suitable placements for all the residents. Delaying the closure has been cold comfort to residents and family members. We've been informed that the centre is definitely closing, but we have no idea when it will actually happen. The closure process is very much ongoing. Some residents have already been moved. The number of residents has now been reduced to 11. To date, my own family have had 3 family consultations to discuss Anna's future. These discussions have raised more questions than answered and have only increased our anxiety and our worry about her future. For example, in September 2021, it was suggested she'd be moved out of the area to St. Stephen's Hospital in Glanmire, which is an institutional setting in the countryside, so away from Middleton, where her friends and community are. This suggestion was very distressing for our family. Anna had spent years in a closed ward, and now, after all the progress she's made, in Middleton at the Owenacurra Centre, she's facing the prospect of being sent back to an institutional setting. In December 2021, there was a conversation about another out-of-area placement in Carrigaline. However, the building did not have planning permission and the proposal has been subject to a number of objections from local residents. Most recently, there was a vague suggestion that the HSE would look for a house in Middleton, but no property has been identified. The whole process has taken a severe toll on Anna and on our family. For Anna, the past 12 months have been extremely difficult. She's expressed her clear wish is to remain in Middleton at the Owenacurra Centre. This is her home. She's had to endure terror and fear that she's going to be made homeless. She's had to watch fellow residents, many of them friends, being sent off to different places around the county. She's had no news about how they're settling into their new accommodation, and she's been worried about them. The stated reason for the closure of has been that the premises is not fit for purpose and that no amount of refurbishment could bring the building to an acceptable standard. The proposed closure was not signalled by recent Mental Health Commission reports, despite briefings from the HSE management and communications to residents strongly suggesting that the Mental Health Commission's concerns contributed in significant part to the closure decision. The decision stemmed from an internal building report by the HSE's maintenance department. This report did not provide evidence of a new building survey that could support such a claim. Independent asbestos and fire safety reports carried out in 2019 and 2021 respectively set out the works that were required on the premises. Neither report supported the claim that the building was beyond repair or that the building could not be brought up to an acceptable standard. Despite repeated HSE briefings suggesting otherwise, no independent reports have in fact supported the HSE's position that the Owenacurra building is beyond repair. A member of the Health Committee, who's a qualified architect with specialist expertise in healthcare buildings, visited Owenacurra, studied the building reports and concluded that there was no reason the building could not be renovated, and this could potentially be done section by section with a reduced number of residents remaining on site. After a thorough examination of the closure rationale, including a site visit to Owenacurra and St Stephen's Hospital for comparison, the Health Committee wrote to Minister Mary Buckley in April calling for a reversal of the closure as a matter of urgency, saying that they considered the evidence produced by the HSE justifying the decision to be unconvincing. They repeated this in a more detailed follow-up letter to Paul Reid and Minister Mary Butler in May, and in a referral to the HSE board in recent weeks. So to sum up what the families and what the Save Owenacurra campaign is looking for, it's important to emphasise that this campaign isn't just about the current residents like my aunt. It's primarily about these residents, but it's also about the many other people in East Cork with severe mental illness who require placements of varying duration to attain a decent quality of life. This campaign is not just about a few vocal families holding out against the HSE's planned closure. It's about a broader regional need into the future for a very vulnerable group of people. Families and others involved in this campaign want the Oireachtas Health Committee's detailed refutation of the closure to be upheld by the HSE. We want to see the building issues addressed in a manner that's not so disruptive that it leads to almost a total cessation of services over many years. We're appealing to the HSE board to intervene and direct the HSE to overturn the closure decision. The HSE board was set up with the aim of building public trust and confidence in the HSE. The experience of families and many other supporters is that a vital service is being removed in a manner that just doesn't stand up to scrutiny. There appears to be no accountability for this, and no amount of evidence of distress for residents, family members, or arguments from Oireachtas committees has made any difference to these proposals. It's extremely difficult to have trust in the HSE as a result of this attempted closure and how it's been handled. We would ask the Petitions Committee to also write to the HSE board to reinforce the Health Committee's recommendation that the decision to close Owenacurra be reversed. Thank you very much.